Okay.
His second term, from looming questions over Benghazi to the war in Afghanistan. Keep it here as our special coverage of Inauguration Weekend continues.
Okay, now rewind that.
President Obama in his second term, from looming questions over Benghazi to the war in Afghanistan. Keep it here as our special coverage of Inauguration Weekend continues.
What is that? What is that?
And I'm more charismatic than Stossel 1.0.
Something like that will happen at some point. The current issue of Reason is titled Hi, Robot, and it's optimistic. It says robots come bearing coffee and sex, and we should welcome our artificial brethren. Peter Suderman covers technology for Reason, and he welcomes it. But emerging technology specialist John Havens says we should not welcome our new robot overlords. Overlords?
Humans, for instance, have finite capabilities. So for work and automation, for instance, we can only work 60, 70 hours a week. We have to make a decision. Are we going to choose human workers or machines?
Yeah, Peter, that does scare people. The robots are better now. When the Stossel 2.0 robot takes my job, I and a lot of other people will have nothing to do.
Well, I think that that's something that a lot of people worry about, but I don't think that it's something that we should be worrying about. I don't see robots as overlords. I see them as our partners, and in some cases, our tools.
But if they're taking my job, he's not my partner.
But that is going to free you up to do something else, just as the industrial age has freed us up to do many things that could not be imagined 100 or 200 years ago. 200 years ago, 70% of the United States were farmers. And the jobs that we have
before
now,
that,
writing on the
90% before that. And
right.
now it's 2% or something.
People could not imagine the jobs that we have now 200 years ago, 100 years ago. And we can't imagine the jobs that people will have 100 or 200 years from now. And many of those jobs will be possible because of robot automation.
It still makes people nervous. Here's how the great philosophers who write The Simpsons with this issue.
These are robots. You will train them, and they will replace you. I give you permission to shake your fists in anger twice.
Replacing us with robots, it's heartless and despicable.
This will happen to plenty of people, and not all will find jobs.
What you've always seen is that more jobs have been ultimately created in the economy, that the number of jobs has expanded with the number of people because people are creative and inventive, and they find things to do.
I think, though, a lot of leading economists right now are saying that this is a different era. For one thing, the GDP for the past couple of years has said that the wages are not increasing around the world. So this is something that's unique. The second thing is that
a lot of people are saying this time it's different.
It is. Well, Moore's law is this idea of accelerating returns with computer technology. So the fact that we're replacing so many jobs with machines, and then to say that, well, there'll be more jobs created. The other thing that I have to always...
NBC claims pharmacists, lawyers, drivers, astronauts, store clerks, soldiers, babysitters, sports writers.
Yeah, creative industries. The two things I always wonder are, A, who's going to pay me when my job, so when Stossel 2.0 takes over, who writes you a check? And then secondly is, how do you have a sense of purpose when you don't have any more work to fill your day?
People find ways to make themselves productive, and if they're not finding ways to make themselves productive, in every case, somebody else will provide that opportunity. This is how it always works, is that if you have 1,000 people who aren't doing something, many of them will try to do something. A few of those ideas will be good, and a few of those ideas, a very small number of them, will be so good that lots of other people see that and start doing the same thing.
And John, you want more welfare programs for the people thrown out of work? Or you want government to step in?
Well, what's tough is the government question, the universal basic income question is one of them, and the welfare, we were just talking about this before we came out. It's multifaceted. There's not sort of an easy solution, but the question is, what is the other alternative? It's that these 1,000 are without jobs.
But when government steps in, they make busy work that wastes money and makes everybody miserable.
Well, there's models in, Copenhagen, Denmark. There's a lot of, universal health care that works for them.
Let's look at a couple of clips show how Hollywood imagines the robot-dominated future.
In I, Robot, Will Smith